If you can just try to keep that
Close.
mic, yeah, semi-close.
So like here.
Yeah,
How
Rose can
like
check it
this
out.
close?
Yeah, normally like a fist away, you could pull it up into the side maybe if
Okay.
that would be easier, so it's not
Yeah.
right in
There
your
we go.
way.
And headphones or no?
We
Doesn't
could do
matter.
headphones or no headphones. It's your call.
What do you think?
I like the
What
headphones. Some people are not fans of the
I
headphones because
don't
you can hear
mind.
your voice.
Yeah.
Do you want to try
We
it
were
and see it?
talking about that. I was like, well, I'm usually a fan of like going for it if we're gonna go for it.
Okay, I
You were gonna
appreciate
have
that.
to stay right here though and chill out. All right, so right side or left side? We good here?
I think if you flip it,
Okay.
wires in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably can hear better,
How does
right?
that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
it. I think it adds a cool little flair to it.
Yeah, for sure.
I
I'm
can
all
go
about the
volume up,
headphones.
volume down.
As long as you tell me if my hair is all jacked
You're
up.
you're good. I'll let you know if it
Okay,
changes.
so about here.
Yep.
Okay.
How's the volume sound? I can
Good.
turn up the headphones, turn down the headphones.
No, it sounds about right.
Sounds good.
As long as
Okay.
she doesn't bang into stuff. We'll deal with you in a minute, Rose.
Get locked in. I can open up this sake you were awesome enough to bring us. This
Yes.
is I don't know anything about sake either.
I like the Junmai sake. It's meant to be served cold.
Okay.
Like most of the time when you go to sushi, Japanese restaurants, you get the hot sake, but a lot of times like 95% of sakes aren't supposed to be served hot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think
and-
I've ever actually had sake.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're in for a treat. It has a little kick to it. My husband was making me laugh. He said, I saw him drinking a Truly, and I was like, I noticed he had a Corona, so I think drinking is acceptable.
Yeah, we've got you can't see it in the shop, but we've got our little
Yeah, I
our
like
little
it.
bar over there.
Well, the Trulies all just be like burping, and so the sake, yeah, it's good because it's a sipper, but
The Trulies are for when I'm feeling a little more like laid back. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're not actually drinking. We're
Yeah.
just like
having a
flavored water.
having a flavored
Yeah.
water, yeah. You want to sit in your own chair? No, why don't you wait here for a minute? You'll have plenty of time to.
And so
snore it
we were
out.
talking about Rose,
Yes.
who is our awesome companion here today.
Yes. Yeah.
And you said that you also have her brother.
Yes, Levi.
Her brother. Okay.
Yeah. We found a great breeder when we were starting to look again for Boston Terriers. I'm a big fan of rescue dogs and raising purebred dogs from puppies, and there's a big difference. But finding a good breeder that you really feel like is doing justice by the breed.
And not just
yeah.
cranking them out.
Yes, so not your trying to make a profit breeder, but one that's really trying to keep the heritage of the breed alive. So
Big difference in just their demeanor or how they kind of behave out of the gate.
I think when you get a purebred dog, when you look up the temperament and you look up what you're kind of in for, you can see what might be coming,
Mm-hmm.
and you can choose a dog not maybe based on looks, but what your lifestyle is like and
Okay.
what would best complement your life and also the dog as well. So raising a puppy is a big deal, and but also rescue dogs are amazing and wonderful. We've had probably more rescue dogs than we have had raised purebred puppies. And kind of you get what you see when you get a rescue dog too, but there can be a whole complex issue when it comes to raising puppies and rescuing a dog that you have to deal with, which I'm sure we'll delve into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would imagine. Well, here, let's cheers.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
That is so cool. And you don't take this like a shot. I'm guessing you just kind of.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, the first
Sometimes-
one, but it's a good taster, maybe like half, and get a good taste for the flavors. And this was actually the owner
Oh, that's really good.
of Little Japan recommended this one. I usually take down the rest of it and then start over. They're great there. I really like that store a lot. It's a fun place to go. I'm kind of like a Japanese food fanatic, so and tattoos.
I like the
as you
tattoos.
can
I was going to
see.
comment on those.
Yes.
Wow, I can already tell this is the start to a great podcast.
Oh, very good. Thank you. And I'm excited to be here.
So, Little Japan, do you go to Japan?
No, we've never
You're just
been.
a fan of
That
the
is like
sake.
a huge bucket list. Like we have to go at some point. Me and my husband. It's somewhere we've wanted to go for a long time, but just haven't had a chance to yet. Now it's more complicated than ever with.
Yeah,
The
travel
last-
across the borders right now is
Yeah,
a little.
it's complicated. Yeah, but we're hoping that that'll change. We'll be able to have an easier time with that at some point. We'll definitely get there for sure.
Is that the first big trip you're planning after everything kind of eases up again?
Maybe internationally, yes. Like we haven't been on a plane in a really long time, so we tend to.
I hear the masks
we tend-
are off now. You don't have to wear them.
Which is a good thing. Not a big fan of the masking.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's been difficult with dog training, having to deal with masks.
Do you have to wear them? Do you have a lot of people in your staff? We should open this up because we
Yeah.
delve in. You are with Redwood Coast Canine.
Yes.
It is your baby.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of employees with that?
I
Is
have
that
3 canine employees,
okay?
and that is it. It's me. Obviously, I have a sidekick, my husband, who's very supportive, but it's me and my 3 dogs that we currently have that help me from a canine aspect. But yeah, it's a one woman show. A lot of people assume that it might be a bigger thing because I do call it an academy, but it is definitely just me running the whole thing. So it's a lot,
I
but
would imagine.
I
How many
love it.
dogs do you normally have coming in?
A lot of dogs in my group classes, so I can be anywhere from maybe on a low end of 45 dogs per week up to 75, depending on how many classes I have running and how many private training students I'm working with. So it can be intense.
75 per week that's a lot of dogs.
It's a lot of humans too, to work with and communicate with.
And they're probably harder to work with than the dogs, huh?
Generally, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Funny how that works
The
out.
dogs are easier to communicate with, and to get to open up. You can see them and deal with them, I think, a little bit easier than you can with the humans sometimes. So, but dog training is usually essentially human training. So,
Really?
yeah.
In what way?
If the person doesn't know how to, react and deal with their dog and, provide structure and discipline and boundaries for their dog and the needs that that particular dog or breed type or personality, really needs, then there can be a lot of problems that come up along the way in development, or if they rescue an adult dog. And, the balance is all about, giving out resources in a way that the dog can earn them, because most dogs really don't want to just get a lot of love for free. They really like to work. They have a working mindset, whether it's a hunting dog or a herding dog, or just like these guys I like because they've been bred for a long time to be companions, and so they're really good at just being your sidekick. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people tend to choose a dog maybe based on looks without really delving into the temperament and what they might have to provide for the dog to keep them mentally sound. So, yeah.
That's a big thing you hear with German Shepherds, right? Is
Yeah.
those dogs require a lot of work.
Yeah, and they're a really popular breed here in Humboldt County. Absolutely. And yeah, there's a lot of dogs like that. There's the herding, the shepherd type, mentality, but that particular breed is actually, they're not very independent. They're kind of a little bit insecure and dependent upon their owner to give them instruction and give them a job. So they're really kind of aching for that. So it takes a certain personality to have a really well balanced mentally shepherd type breed. So yeah, absolutely.
You just have to supply a lot of discipline for that
Yeah,
breed in
I think
particular.
so. And every dog's different. So we've had a lot of pit bulls. That's been one of our favorite breeds since we moved to Humboldt County. And every one that we've had has been a little bit different. I would say all but one that we got as a puppy were rescues. I did some good time at Miranda's Rescue as a volunteer. So, and I also worked as a veterinary technician at Fortuna Vet for 15 years.
Oh wow! Oh, so opening your own academy was right up your alley.
It was. It was kind of a shocking surprise when I got started, but all the time spent working with dogs and people in a controlled setting, it kind of led up to this whole training, division of the work being kind of a well-suited thing. Rose, we're gonna move you on over to your own seat there. So yeah, the work at Miranda's Rescue and the vet clinic, created up to 8 dogs at one point in our household that we had dealing with. But we love them all. They're all very different, but you do get some breed-specific traits and personalities that you're going to be kind of dealing with when you get a specific breed of dog.
I don't think a lot of people know that, do they?
I don't think that they necessarily look into it, or perhaps they don't take the time to maybe really honestly look at this dog's going to need this, and this, but maybe more so this dog's going to be really cool, or I love the way this dog looks.
That's the big thing, is the look.
The
Especially with Huskies. It's always the look.
The Huskies, I had a client just saying that 2 days ago about the Huskies being on TikTok and Instagram and all over the place, and they're howling and they're yowling and all of that. And I mean, they're a complex dog. They're beautiful dogs. I think that's a lot of the draw for people, is what a dog looks like. That can be the initial draw in, and sometimes it's hard to steer away from wanting that dog if it doesn't necessarily fit your lifestyle. So that's where I can see a lot of clients really struggling to have a well managed or well behaved dog. So
When a lot of people come to you, is it right when they get the puppy, or is it down the road when it starts getting a little more
it's a
chaotic?
mix. So a
Okay.
lot of people, I think, they think I just do puppy classes and group classes, but 50% of my day is spent working with people with really intense issues with their dogs, from aggression, biting, dog reactivity. I call it reactivity because not all dogs are actually aggressive towards other dogs, but the leash creates issues. And so, my favorite thing to do really is puppy preschool, which I just had a new group of human students last night. They're not allowed to bring their puppies the first night, so they
Oh,
come.
because you're really just focusing on them.
Them, yeah, and that class is designed for puppies that aren't fully vaccinated yet. So the big issue with dogs, the biggest concern with underage puppies is parvo virus. But the dog's socialization window, they say, is roughly 1 to 13 weeks of age. And once it closes, you miss out on a huge opportunity of socialization ability. They're like little sponges, absorbing all of this information, data, and different things when they're young like that. But we're always taught to keep your puppy safe at home until they're fully vaccinated. And so a lot of people sadly miss out on the opportunity to maximize the social window. So I created this class with my former bosses at Ferndale Fortuna Vet, and we talked about how to make a safe environment for puppies to come if they're not fully vaccinated. So having an indoor location to train, having the owners informed about parvo, and having the mandatory orientation where they don't bring the puppies, checking and monitoring the vaccine status of the puppy for parvo. It's really my main concern. I'm not worried about them getting rabies necessarily, or things like that. But and then also having the puppies come and learn how to be around other dogs right away. So we do off leash play. We do a lot of basic training cues. One thing I do is I go in before the class starts and I sanitize the entire room. Not even necessarily for the human's sake, but that turned into a bigger issue the last couple years for COVID. But bleach kills parvo very easily, but not outside in the dirt and in the ground. So I can have people carry their puppies into a room that I've cleaned, and as long as everybody's kept their puppies safe outside of the classroom by keeping them from being in a public location, then they're perfectly safe from parvo.
And what is parvo? Is that a dog to dog
It
disease?
is.
It
It's
is.
dog to
Okay.
dog virus. It's been around a long time and it's really resilient in the dirt, in the ground. So it can live in the ground for up to 6 months.
Is
Uh,
it like a fecal matter thing that
it
gets?
is.
Okay, that's the big one,
I
right?
told people last night is poop to mouth.
Yeah.
And puppies love to put dirt and grass and all kinds of things in their mouth. So that's where the issue lies. But it's really, it can't be passed on from humans to dogs or cats or birds. In your own yard and family members or friends' yards and places like that, if you carry your puppy places, they can't get it. It's when they're spending time outside in public locations. So that's when they're at risk for it. But once their series of vaccinations are over, most dogs are pretty well covered. They do have to have boosters from time to time, but those puppy boosters are the most important ones for that one.
And is that life-threatening, parvo?
Yeah,
Okay.
and spending all those years at the vet clinic, it's pretty tough to watch puppies have to fight that at the vet clinic, being on IVs, and it attacks the digestive tract, and so they're pretty miserable, and they get dehydrated really quickly, and they can't keep food down, and so that's it's pretty tough when they get it. You don't see it a lot as long as people are doing what they're supposed to and being cautious. What you do see more of is dogs being relinquished to shelters and being euthanized at adulthood because of behavior issues. So that's why I feel like the risk taken to do a class like that, over parvo versus behavior issues down the road, there's a huge advantage to doing it and a big reason to make sure that you get your puppy out in a safe way as soon as possible. If you're going to choose a puppy, you need to hit the ground running right away.
If you miss that 13-week window, is that kind of not necessarily a guarantee, but it starts edging more towards it being a violent dog?
not necessarily violent, but even fearful dogs. So if a puppy comes to class and they're terrified of everybody else in the room and the other dogs, those are the ones that for me, are the most fun ones to watch over the. It's a 5 week course, so they're there for 4 weeks, just an hour once a week. You can see these amazing transformations in like that really shy puppy. And then there's a person that shows up with a puppy they're like terrified of because they're a total maniac. And they're just looking for somebody to help them wrangle their tiny beast before it gets too big. Large breed dogs are really, really attractive to people here in Humboldt. I see more of them than I do small breed dogs. I think part of that too, though, is people with small breed dogs tend to not feel the need or urge to do training early because they're little.
Yeah,
Um,
you feel like you can take it.
yeah,
If a pit bull goes sideways, it's a little more
you're like,
risky, but
yeah, definitely,
yeah,
yeah.
if a Yorkie is a little aggressive, it's like, okay, just don't touch him.
Yeah, you're
Keep him
like,
on the
or the
ground.
people just like, oh, pick him up.
Yeah.
If he's acting like a jerk, and carry him off. Yeah, where you
Yeah,
can't,
put him in your purse and walk away.
you
Like,
can't do that with a large breed dog. But I
yeah.
sure love seeing small dogs in classes too, because I feel like they need it just as much as any other dog for sure. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna reach for my cup here.
No, you're good. This is really good, actually.
You like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of nice and clean, little crisp.
It's very refreshing, too.
Yes.
And sake's just rice wine or rice.
Essentially, yeah,
right?
fermented rice. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert again.
All your trips to Japan, I was going to quiz you.
Right? Oh, I want to go so badly. Yes.
My sister went when she was, I believe, in high school. She went with a group from the high school, and they went out there for, I believe, the summer
Hmm.
on like an exchange program. And then we had them come over, an exchange student come over from Japan and stay with us.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a really cool cultural perspective of,
Yeah, I
oh,
bet.
this is completely different world for them.
I haven't spent a lot of time with, Japanese people in particular, but I think the obsession started when I was really young because my grandma went to Japan a couple of times when I was really, really young. And so, most of the things in her house were from Japan. And so everything I saw and she taught me about, she was a big fan of sake, was all about Japan. And then me and my husband, we have this picture um, up in our living room of my grandpa. He was in World War II and he was in the Navy and ended up in Japan eventually at the end of the war. And there's a picture of him in his uniform about this big, underneath this big, giant Buddhist statue. So I think some of the things that I just saw and observed as a
Just
small
rubbed off.
child. Yeah, definitely. And then my husband, I think he got into the Japanese tattooing but a little before me. I got tattoos first, but just not the best choices as a teenager. But he specifically chose Japanese tattoos when he kind of got started working on his sleeves and stuff like that. So eventually I kind of got into that as well.
Is that a specific style, like on your arm there? Is that
It
what would
is
be a Japanese
kind of like
style?
the Japanese style. Yeah, it's mostly one artist. He's Brian Kaneko, great guy. He's at True Nature Tattoo in Arcata. He's half Japanese. He's kind of the guru of, I would say, of Japanese tattooing here in Humboldt County. But it got started with him years ago, way up here with this little section of chrysanthemums, and it's just
That is an awesome sleeve, by
it's
the way.
morphed. Yes.
Yeah.
I was able to finish it actually during COVID, which was really nice. Eventually, he was able to open his studio back up, and I had a Japanese artist come over, and he did a spot in his shop for a while several years ago, and that's where I got this first goldfish. And so he kind of posted that guy right there, and then Brian has filled the rest in. So it's very cohesive now.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was a lot of just little pieces, So, yeah, we're big fans of tattoos for sure.
Yeah, I'm eventually going to get one. I just don't want to be that guy that gets one at 24 and is like, this was
Yeah.
not a
Well,
good decision.
How old are you, if you
I'm
don't mind me
24,
asking?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
I'm like, I'm getting to the age where I think I would make a smart decision and
Yeah.
not get something I regret, but
I think that your younger generation, it seems like you guys definitely wait longer and like think harder on it than I'm 42, so it's like just get out there and get
Just
some.
get
And
one.
I have some ridiculous tattoos. I have like a tiny dolphin on my big toe, which was my first tattoo. It's like, why would you get a dolphin on
Yeah.
your toe?
right?
But it was at the time, it was fine. I'm not big on like lasering them off or covering them up. My husband does have one cover up, but it was too have a whole back piece, so it was for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think being thoughtful about getting them, if you want to make sure that you do it correctly, is smart. It's wise. Sometimes people, I think, wait too long. So
And then you age out, and it's
yeah,
like, well, do you want to be 60 and get your first
yeah,
tattoo?
your skin should be, ready for it, and you should be
Yeah.
young enough too. But yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, yeah, I think it's smart to think it out too. Not just go for it.
Yeah,
I,
the thinking out of what I want is big, and I also want to make sure I find a good artist. Because I've
that
seen some great concepts for tattoos, and then they're just not
I think that's
implemented
the
that well.
most important things, finding somebody that is also good at what you want. So not expecting every artist to be good at
Everything.
everything. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, when somebody gets to a point like Brian did with specializing in just that, like he's probably not, trying to do, black and gray or, all American and stuff like that. He has other people come into his shop and, do what they do best too. So yeah, having an expert artist work on certain things, I think
Helps.
is
It helps.
definitely,
It makes a difference.
absolutely, yes.
What's interesting about Japan is that they're not fond of tattoos, right? Is that Yakuza thing
No.
still in place?
Yeah, and also I think it's like a social thing where even now we've done some research on that they still would expect you to cover up your tattoos. It is a yakuza particular, like I think you can show your tattoos when you're not in public and when you're in that specific space, but it's very taboo to show them in public.
Which
So
is crazy.
it is.
With how prominent they are all over the world now. And
Yeah.
just in culture in general. I mean, dating back, you have Buddhist monks that had tattoos. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
I don't know if they were actually Buddhist. I threw that out there like I knew that. But
well, I
for
mean,
some monks, you
there's so many
definitely do.
different categories of Buddhism too, in different areas. We actually spent a little time like learning about Zen Buddhism and stuff like that. So I've learned about different areas of Buddhism and all their different philosophies. But I think, yeah, in Japan in general, they're very reserved culture. And so they're not, I shouldn't say they are not, but the feeling is that, they're the American style of like showing it off. I think there's some areas in Japan where they're all about like showing it off and dressing up and being all about it, but the older cultures are very reserved and they don't want you to show your tattoos. So and maybe we're stealing a bit of that culture too as well, but I do it in a respectful way, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, right? As long as it's respectful. And it's not like you're appreciating their artwork. I would think
Absolutely.
that putting that on your body is a huge
A
compliment.
compliment. That's how I like to see it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a big commitment too.
It's
A
a
lot
huge
of black.
commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks good. I think that's
Thank
the
you.
key thing is just getting artwork that you appreciate and then it also being visually appealing is like just a huge plus.
Yeah. And it's a lot of commitment and time and work and people that say, "Oh, it doesn't hurt that bad." I'm like,
Does it hurt a lot?
It doesn't hurt a lot. It hurts though.
Yeah.
Like there you have to definitely find your like time frame for being able to handle it, and also a good artist knows too. So like for me, I'm like 3 hours, I'm good, and I'll come back and pay you for the next round in a month or 6 weeks when it's healed because I'm good after 3 hours. I think
That's
when
like your breaking point. It's like
yeah,
we could do a solid 3 and then it starts getting
yeah, the
dicey.
adrenaline starts to wear off. You take that first like bathroom break, and then you're like, this
Yeah.
is start,
Maybe I should go home now.
it's starting to
I think
hurt.
we're okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my sister has a couple tattoos that are pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of tattoos. I just have to figure out where I want to go with it. I
Yeah.
do want a sleeve eventually. I think a
Uh-huh.
sleeve would be cool.
Start with somewhere non-visible, and then you'll
Yeah.
get like
Maybe not a
desensitized to
face
it.
tat right off the bat. I think
Yeah,
that would
maybe
be a
not like
little
a
rough.
teardrop or like a
Yeah.
hand tat. I'm big on like no hands or faces, necks, like just me personally.
Is that just because you can cover it up if you wanted
Yeah,
to?
yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. For me, I like the bodysuit style because you can like cover it up and it's kind of elusive that you can do that. And then I don't know, everybody's different. Like my tattoo artist has a beautiful like hand tattoo of a bird on his hand, and I think it's amazing. But for me, I just like the ability to be able to cover it up when I want to or need to.
Do you have to cover it up a lot?
Not really.
Yeah.
If I want to.
Yeah, that's the key,
I
right?
think I see in the winter time, like when you were wearing long sleeve shirts and sweaters, and I'm with a group of people, and then all of a sudden it's like warmer out, and I'm wearing a t-shirt. You could see some people being like,
Whoa.
"Whoa, holy!" But I never get bad comments or like negativity. I just get a lot of like from some people. I'm sure they're like, "Why would you do that?"
Some people still don't get it,
Yeah,
right? I
and
think
they may
culturally it's
never.
way more accepted.
Oh yeah,
But some people are
your
still
older generation. Some of them are
yeah.
just never gonna get it. I'm sure my mom is like, "Why would you do that, Janna? But she's, I think, has learned a long time ago that she's not going to be able to deter me from what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, my parents are not. They're not really against it, but they're definitely not fans of
Yeah,
tattoos.
my mom actually has a tattoo.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, one of our favorite artists who used to live here, Carl Haynes, he had a shop down on 5th Street. We moved here in 2001. And my husband decided to join the Coast Guard at the time. And so we just like got put in Humboldt. And that's how we ended up here. And so one of the first people we met was Carl and his wife. And that's how we kind of got into like the tattoo scene up here in Humboldt County.
Did
And
you have tattoos before you came up here?
yeah,
Okay.
I got a handful when I lived in Sacramento for a few years. I moved out of home in Tuolumne County, where I grew up my whole life, and did the junior college thing. I was kind of like a college dropout, but college was never like something that I was like aiming to
Set for.
conquer. But it was good for me at the time. It was like structured, and I was aiming to be a registered vet technician. But when me and Jason been together since '96,
Oh, wow.
and when he was kind of accelerating his career, he wanted to be a firefighter, but the firefighter position in general like was so competitive at the time back in 99 2000. There'd be like 2,000 or more people trying to get one or two positions, and so it was so regimented, so difficult to get a job that he just said, I'm screw it, I'm gonna go in the Coast Guard. And he actually spent only 5 years in the Coast Guard, but he became a rescue swimmer. He like went all the way, like fast and hard, and so we spent quite a bit of time apart for about 2 years. So I said, it's either move forward, and we were engaged and moved to Humboldt with Jason. When I looked around a bit up here, being registered as a vet technician really wasn't a big deal. Like down in the Bay Area or Sacramento at the time, like a lot of places were looking for a registered vet tech.
There just wasn't the demand up here.
There wasn't as much demand or desire or need. There's very few things that you can or can't do as an RVT versus just like a vet assistant or technician, like intubating animals and placing splints, things like that. And so up here in Humboldt, people would it wasn't as much of a big deal. It was like you could make $1, maybe $2 more as an RVT. So instead of spending another year in SAC, getting that degree, I just decided to move up here with him and got a great job. And I was there for 15 years. So to me, it was like worth it
Yeah, makes sense.
to move forward. Yeah, 'cause we were in a pretty solid relationship for quite a long time. So that was for me at the time. It was obviously more important than staying in Sacramento and doing that. Yeah. So, and the dog training thing just kind of morphed over time. It's very strange, like how it started. My friend, who I actually worked with at a vet clinic in Elk Grove, she came up here. We had lunch one day. She was like an executive. She probably will tell me I'm wrong if she sees this, but her name's Miranda. And we had lunch, and she said, I'm here because I'm, executive, like partner director with Petco. And one of the stipulations for Petco now is that every Petco, they're trying to aim for having 2 dog trainers. And she's like, there's one there, and we're looking for a second one. She's like, why don't you do it? And I was like, dog trainer? This sounds totally weird. I was like, I don't know why would you do that. It was like